We get a call from Joe and Larry Franco, the producer. They say, across the board, he said, all these animals want to have something a little magical, fantasy side to them, as well as the reality.
Have more character than a real animal would in the zoo or in wildlife. They had to look real. The audience had to believe they were real animals, but they were supposed to be a little bit of a heightened sense of character to them. When you look at the lion, the audience may not initially pick up on the fact that there's something crazy and ferocious about this lion. The pelican is much more curious than any regular pelican would be here. The bat is very unrelenting in trying to get at this little girl. The pot, of course, just by the nature that it can move, makes it a much more real threat. Even the spiders that come into our world are much bigger and very strong and very tenacious. The crocodiles are much meaner and much more cunning than any crocodile that we've ever seen in Wild Kingdom. When we were creating the animals, our beginning was researching real animals. We started with a lot of photographs. And from there, we went through a lot of sketches to come up with the exact character for each animal that we wanted to kind of revitalize it with. There's a great deal of the animals in Jumanji that we've created completely as animatronics, as puppets. There are some animals that have a computer-generated counterpart, and that is where ILM has come in to do all of that visualization. There are also several animal characters that ILM has done completely on their own that have no animatronic counterparts.
Wow, you know, we have mosquitoes, bats, lions, quicksand, stampede, monkeys, all these different sequences.
Without a doubt, I think Jumanji is probably, to date, is the biggest interrelation of real-life animals, animatronics, puppets, and computer-generated imagery that's been seen on film. The character of the lion in the film is a pretty important character. It's one of the first characters that are conjured up out of this game.
After our first initial meetings with the lion, he said, well, we want to build an animatronic lion, so you guys are not only have the problem of matching to a real lion, but you're also going to have to match to an animatronic lion.
We had a fully animatronic creature for all the hero stuff, all the facial articulation. Joe said from the very beginning, I just wanted it to look mad.
To me, this is exactly what the Jumanji lion should be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wild. It may be a little bit too stylized. We have to...
Well, why don't we do this? I mean, look at the strength that is in here. We could certainly transpose that over here without affecting the expression. I think this area here is where we're getting all the expression.
I agree.
Well, here's one of the maquettes that have been prepped. I mean, look at this
Yeah. And ILM will ultimately be using this as their reference to create their computer-generated lion. So whatever we send them, we just need to know that we're all working off the same model.
Are you ready? Let's do it. 2, 3.
That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat.
When I was in the suit, I was wearing this rig over my head, and what this allowed me to do, this whole monitor here has a built-in video screen, so I was able to get a picture from what the camera was seeing. I was also able to communicate through a microphone and hear on this speaker when Alec would be directing me from outside of the suit.
So we come back and huddle here and say, okay, what's our big problem here? We need to have the lion guy solving the long hair problem and how that mane's going to move cleaner and less messed up.
We had to solve a lot of technical problems with the hair, like trying to make our hair match the animatronic lion. It's about 1.5 million hairs or something like that. So there has to, all those things have to work together, and that was a big technical problem.
The way animatronics develop is just like us. They're scrambling from the start. We don't really know what this lion looks like until they finally get to their first day of shooting and get there.
Well, this is our beauty shot of the lion. There are about 7 or 8 shots where he appears in the movie, but he doesn't ever appear for as long or close up as this shot.
We had this seed pod when we were designing it. Alec had found a seed pod actually at his daughter's science fair at school and brought it into the shop. And it was just so foreign looking, and we thought this would be a great touch. You know, it was real and it was organic. And we kind of duplicated that look and put it on here. But everything's based on realism. All the plant work was based on research that we had done on tropical plants, and we sat and looked through books with Joe to pick out some tropical plants that we thought would really look fitting for this part. It just looks better when it's all shiny and glossy, you know, the lights kick. And it also needs to be kind of lubricated so that when it's opening, the petals don't stick together. We also throw a lot of slime into it, so it's just real viscous and, you know, creepy. What's that? That's probably far enough for now. Over here.
The mechanical one.
I tell you what, let's separate this into 2 shots.
Okay.
The first shot is just going to go from where we are, as wide as we are now. The pod comes out and starts undulating, and we start, on my cue, we start going toward it, okay? And we'll just go all the way in until it's touching us, okay? That'll be the first shot. All right, Alec, you all set? Okay.
Okay.
Sing.
Okay, here we go, and action. And in. Here we come.
Gotta get the nose up on that plant.
And cut.
I'll be right back.
Originally, the monkeys were supposed to be fairly human-like, and then gradually through the course of development, the monkeys started getting more and more ape-like in some way. We took reference trips down to the San Francisco Zoo to look at the look and the fur and the motion of a whole bunch of different species of monkeys, and then we finally ended up with something that's sort of unlike any monkey that actually exists anywhere in the known universe. So yeah, it was about a 3-month process to develop the look of the monkeys with a lot of incremental changes. And then we also had Jeff Campbell and his group doing modeling. You saw the models, the maquettes that were done by Richard Miller's group over in the model shop.
He wants to try a little different ear position. I know we had it higher than this before. I think we're closing in on it overall. I just think maybe without the hair, we're getting the impression that he's a little bit, he's got the old alfalfa ears sticking out there. Right. So if we can just crush him in a little bit.
Concurrently with the modeling, we had another group of people doing the paint job. You view the model in 3D while you do your painting. The movements of the monkeys are pretty much done entirely by hand by the animators, and then from that they would work with sort of stick figure or like the skeletons of the figures and get them to move around. We had a bunch of software written up, most important of which was the fur rendering software, and that's the software that actually puts the individual hairs onto the monkey's skin. The opening shot in the kitchen is where we sort of present the audience with so much eye candy that they can't possibly take it all in. The kitchen is obviously real. The monkeys are obviously not real, but the props and things that they're throwing around, some of them are real and some of them are computer generated.
We'll take care of anything that the monkeys are interacting with for a long time. We'll model in CG, but anything they knock off, we'll do some practical stunts there because it's always easier to get it in the camera if you can.
It looks like a room with a whole bunch of things sort of floating in air. There's a few strings and poles and stuff which we then have to erase with a digital paint system. And then, my goodness, what's going on here?
It was important to Joe to tie in Robin and the kids to what was going on. So we did most of those with splits where we'd shoot the side with Robin running back and forgetting the game, picking up the game board and running out of the library with nothing going on. And then we'd shoot the side of the wall actually blowing up where the effects guys actually built a big steel rhino and rammed it through that wall for us.
And set. Ready? And action.
You and Billy Jessup, yeah, you swapped spit, didn't you?
You didn't even kiss me.
Oh, yeah,
please.
right.
Didn't even. We were sitting like this far apart.
You're the one who's immature. Oh, Sarah, you are not the sharpest tool in this shed.
Yeah,
Really?
I get my point across, don't I?
Feel that?
What?
Listen. And action.
Set.
Stampede. Stampede! 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 Run! Run! Escape! Ah! Give me the playback on that right away.
So in the end, we end up taking the shot of Robin, going back, getting the game board and running out, and the steel rhino coming through the wall. We take those two shots, and we end up compositing Robin in the shot and mat him over where all the books are flying and all hell breaks loose.